You've made it to episode 2. Welcome back. Now that the engagement is official, we can crack on with the planning. And today we're tackling 2 fairly tough topics which go hand in hand and can throw a spanner in the works between you and your partner if it's not handled correctly. We're talking budget and we're also talking guest lists. So unless your family's made of money or you're paid very well yourself, budget's always a bit of a sensitive topic. And guest lists, how many layers are we going to be peeling back of distant relatives, friends of friends, family friends, plus ones? It's a never-ending onion of layers of possible invitations, and your eyes will water when you look at that price tag. So where are we going to draw the line? Well, you're about to find out here on Beneath the Veil, a My Wedding Magazine podcast. Let me start by saying your wedding day is you and your partner's wedding day, and it can be whatever you want it to be. Some people are extravagant, they have a huge budget or they want to splurge, and others don't feel the need to do that. You know, a backyard wedding is perfect for them, or they just can't justify the eye-watering price tag of a big budget wedding, which is fair enough in this economy. Either end or in between, it is what you want it to be, which is the whole point of this podcast. It's giving you the tools and information from different angles around the big day to do with as you please and make an informed decision that best suits your relationship. But this time around, it's about me. No, it's about me and my partner's dream wedding. And in this episode, we are forming the foundation of what that is going to look like before we bring in some experts down the track. So how do you go about shaping a guest list? Me and my partner Michael, we were in Fiji last week. Beautiful tropical weather. It was just before dinner. We were out on the balcony of the hotel room and we had a glass of wine and we thought, you know what? Now is the perfect time to play the guest list game. So what that is you have 3 minutes, you have a pen and paper, and you have to write down everyone that you want there inside this 3 minutes, even people who you know aren't going to make it along, such as overseas family members or friends, because you know you're still going to be sending them an invitation. A glass of wine ended up turning into the bottle because we ended up calculating together 180 guests. I didn't even know we knew that many people. Cuts were definitely made because the guest list, it drives everything. You know, you can't even think about the budget and how much you're going to spend until you know how many people you're spending on. It's the cost of the food, the drinks, the venue size, because of its capacity. If we cut 2 distant family friends, you can afford the band, you know? And let's not forget about the plus ones. Do we include them? Do we invite kids? Is it a kid-free wedding? These are the tough conversations because the figures are intimidating and everyone counts towards that cost. So what we did to cut things down a bit was we made up a bit of a rule. If we haven't both met them yet, they don't make the cut unless it's direct family or a must and the stars just haven't aligned and for your partner to meet them. And you tend to understand if that person's important to your partner. So we definitely made a few allowances. We haven't sent anything yet, so if you are listening and you haven't received anything, it is still early, okay? Bit of a side note, bit of a side step, and look, I don't mean to be bringing the vibes down at all, but through this whole process, I had a couple of really good friends that I'm no longer friends with, and once upon a time, there was no doubt they would be there on my big day. In fact, they'd probably be standing up there with me, and I still have a lot of love for these people, but you know, life gets in the way, and you grow in different directions, so you kind of need to prepare yourself for that reminder, but also remind yourself to pull yourself out of it and don't dwell in those small details, because at the end of the day, it's about the people who have walked with you right through it all, right to the aisle, right to that special day. And it's a celebration of not only you and your partner, but with them. I heard a really fitting quote the other day, which goes, your guest list isn't just names, it's your story. It's the people who have helped you get there and the ones you'll keep walking with after the confetti's gone. So we ended up with 160 after that cut. You know, we got brutal with the 180 and we are currently working with 160. As mentioned before, you don't need a huge budget to have a wedding. You can pull off a wedding for under $1,000. Now that would be a backyard barbecue and a head on to the courthouse to get married. But sometimes that's all you need. And very much each to their own in this situation and what you want to do to reflect you as a couple. But myself and my partner, and look, I don't mean to go labeling here, but we're having a gay wedding. And this is the day that I've been planning for a long time. And also, This, for some of our guests, is potentially the only gay wedding they're going to be invited to, so I plan to go all out. For reference, I wanted a drag queen as a celebrant, and Michael kind of told me to rein it in, and it was probably a bit too much. I beg to differ. So what's the budget? Well, I'm scared you asked. Let's go through the basic list of the must-haves is as followed. We're talking venue, celebrant, food, suits, dresses for the broom's party. Broom being bride and groom. It's a Sex and the City reference. Anywho, cake, food, drinks, staff, decor, transport. Need not forget of thy after party, where you're talking tent, more food, double down on the drinks, decor, photographer, and shall we meet that list again later? And if you want to hear delusion at its finest, we laid down a budget breakdown before doing any research. So, just for a bit of a giggle, I'll read this out to you. Venue, we laid down $7,000 to $8,000. That was fairly on point. Celebrant, $1,000. Also fairly on point. Food, this is where it gets funny. $2,000. All right, I'll let you know something soon. Anyway, suits $2,000, dresses $1,000, cake $1,000, drinks $2,000, decor $2,000, photographer $2,000, and flowers $3,000. So far, looking at about $20,000, give or take a little bit. My maths is a bit wonky, but we thought very wrong at that point. So now, having done a bit of research and also a bit of breathing into a paper bag, we found the costs on average for a mid-tier wedding is $150 to $250 per guest for food and drink alone. 160 guests. Lower end, we're looking at $24,000, which is more than the budget that I mentioned before. Higher end, we're looking at $40,000, and I'm thinking we meet in the middle, and I also sign myself up to sell one of my kidneys. Here's the tea. You can look at it and moan, but the reality is you have one chance to do this, ideally. And this being the one day of your life, everyone that loves you and you love is in one room, celebrating you and your partner, where you walk into the room and everyone stands in support. You get to dress up, look your best, and get photos that will last a lifetime. I'm even starting to gym again, believe it or not. The scales are screaming not, I'm screaming back. It's a special day, and you don't want that daunting thought of, what if I just splurged out and did this? Or I wish I did that. You can't turn back time. You can't redo. So my logic is, do it, and do it how you want to do all of it. I did think maybe we could do it at home, save some costs. It is a big cost, the venue. We've got a stunning view at home, but I had a wee look into those see-through marquees. You can get those gorgeous ones, fairy lights, beautiful at night, and you're looking at about $10,000 to $15,000, including the setup and pack down, which isn't too bad, but the venue's going to be less money, so the venue stays at the moment. But some other ways to cut down costs: you can DIY, you can use friends. Do you know a photographer or a celebrant? You can have it at home, if you will, a DJ instead of a band. There's lots of different options out there, and it all comes down to giving yourself and your partner time to research, time to plan, and most importantly, time to save. This podcast is available on Spotify and YouTube and comes out every Friday, so we'll see you then.